What seemed like the beginning of the movie to me is we were out with people from Pulp Fiction one night 10 years ago.
And I go, Uma, I've got the next movie for us. All right, so I just tell her, and it's called Kill Bill, where she would play this, the deadliest woman in the world. Well, I come like, well, you're an assassin, and like you're fighting these guys, and there's a kill list, and each one of these guys represents almost a different genre in cinema. So when you go there, it's a kung fu movie, this one's a blaxploitation movie, this one's maybe a redneck movie. And as I'm describing, and like, well, the way they always start is they always start with a person lying there and they're beaten up and they've killed their family and the people are looking down at them and everything. And she goes, hey, Quentin, I have an idea. What about you see me, my face is all bloody, and then the camera pans back and you realize I'm in a bridal gown. And that's when the bride was born. And then I proceeded to like write 30 pages. Well, I woke, every emotion in me was dead. Every emotion that is, except one. Desire. The desire for revenge.
Then he went his way and did Jackie Brown and started writing his war epic, and I did whatever I did for 7 years.
And then for the next 5 years, every time I would see Uma, she would say, so when are we going to do Kill Bill? When are we going to do Kill Bill? Well, I bumped into her at a party, and the first thing she says, so when are we going to do Kill Bill, huh? You keep talking about that. What's up? I go, yeah, someday. And I go home, and I take the 30 pages out, and I read it again.
We not only see she is a bride, but she's 8 months pregnant. Interior, wedding chapel, day. Overhead shot. We hear step, step, step.
And I read it, and it's just like, this is pretty darn cool. You know what? I'm gonna write it really quick. It's gonna be this down and dirty exploitation movie, 90 minutes. All right. And I just wanted to work with Uma again. So from that point on, I just said, okay, it's Kill Bill time.
A few weeks later, at Uma's birthday party, he told her that the screenplay was a present. However, the 200-page final script appeared a year later.
Bill, it's your baby.
Cut to black screen. The fourth film by Quentin Tarantino.
The script for Kill Bill can be confidently called the anti-Jackie Brown.
You believe this shit?
Tarantino was not about to make the same mistake twice. Minimal dialogue, tons of action, a focus on young actors, and his typical anti-linear plot. As soon as they read the screenplay, Miramax offered him $40 million, and the project started up in April of 2001.
So the whole idea on Kill Bill was to test the limits of my talent.
After Uma Thurman, the cast was joined by Michael Madsen and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of thing. I have a big Sam Jackson cameo, and just kind of keep the camera behind him. Like, oh hell, that's Sam.
Y'all got a song?
Lucy Liu was invited to play the role of Oren Ishii after Quentin saw her in Shanghai Noon.
And I think she is absolutely amazing in it. I decided Oren's not just going to be Japanese. She's going to be half Japanese, half Chinese, Asian American, and she's still going to rule the crime world in Tokyo.
Price you pay for bringing up either my Chinese or American heritage as a negative is, I collect your fucking head.
It was harder to find an actor to play Bill. Tarantino invited Kevin Costner and Warren Beatty, but both refused. Costner is practically famous for saying no to Quentin's films, and Beatty lacked the desire to devote time to learning martial arts. Therefore, Quentin offered the role to a person who didn't need to learn martial arts at all.
If you're my age, you grew up with the TV show Kung Fu.
David Carradine became the perfect candidate. First of all, he had starred in many martial arts films.
I did 11 Shakespearean plays.
Second of all, he had been in Mean Streets, one of Tarantino's favorite films. And third, he desperately needed to resurrect his career.
Just forget the past.
What's cool is for an entire generation who doesn't know about Kung Fu, doesn't know about Death Race 2000, all right, doesn't know about the Long Riders, he won't be David Carradine. He'll be Bill.
You always have been, and you always will be.
Well, the actors had been chosen and were ready to start shooting. The studio gave Quentin the green light, and he was already getting the film crew together, when in the middle of 2001, it became known that Uma Thurman was pregnant. and obviously could not start working. And though Harvey Weinstein insisted that Quentin find a different female lead, the director was unmoved. He answered Miramax in his typical way.
I'm the grindhouse Joseph von Sternberg, and she's my samurai sword-wielding Marlene Dietrich.
If Uma's mother never met Uma's father, there'd be no Kill Bill, all right?
I took this whole movie on, put it on my shoulders, and it was a lot of heavy lifting, all right? And I had to carry it. And then having done that, put it on my shoulders, as gently as I could, I climbed up on top of hers, all right? Because without her pulling it off, I got nothing, all right?
Because of this, filming was delayed for a year. But the director didn't waste his time and began looking for the rest of his team. He invited his favorite stuntwoman, Zobel, who is behind most of the bride's crazy moves. The acting ensemble was joined by Gordon Liu, who played the squad leader of Johnny Moe's Crazy 88. And the teacher, Pai Mei.
The character of Pai Mei is not an original character. He was in a bunch of Shaw Brothers films before.
Initially, Quentin had planned on playing Pai Mei himself.
So I trained for 3 months, all right, to do the fights and everything like that. But then also I had Gordon Liu right there on the set. I had this icon who could play him because, you know, when he was a young man as a hero, he used to fight against the characters like Pai Mei or characters like that. So now he's older, he gets to play the nemesis that he always fought, which is really great.
True to his tradition, Quentin also invited actresses who needed a job, like Vivica Fox.
He was in the video store, and he saw Two Can Play That Game sitting on the shelf. And he said that it stopped him, and he said, wow, I haven't seen Vivica since really Independence Day. And he went, there's my Vernita.
And Daryl Hannah.
That's right. I killed your master. And now I'm gonna kill you too. What's cooler than cool? Elle Driver.
Daryl's sort of the opposite number in that she's an extremely dirty fighter, you know? So when the two of them finally collide, it goes down to a very low level.
I call it the War of the Blonde Gargantuans, you know? 2 Amazonian chicks just beating the hell out of each other.
Later, Robert Richardson joined them, who had previously filmed Platoon, Casino, and A Few Good Men.
The cinematographer, Robert Richardson, came to me at some point halfway through The House of Blue Leaves, and he goes, Quentin, I've done action scenes before. I have never done anything this difficult. There is a reason why they do the best action in Hong Kong, because this shit is hard.
In order to choreograph the fight scenes and train the actors, they hired Wu Ping Yuen, who had worked on The Matrix and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
When he first talked to Yuen Wu Ping about him coming in and doing the picture, and he went through a lot of stuff with Wu Ping, and Wu Ping said, what do you need me for? And the truth is that he doesn't need anybody else. I mean, he could probably make these movies all by himself.
The music was done by rapper.
Listen, I met him when I was doing the promotion for the film Iron Monkey.
He asked me would I like to produce the soundtrack in the way that I produce Wu-Tang albums. I said, well, it's, you know, whatever, you know, I do, that's easy. I mean, that's like nothing. If that's what you want, consider it done.
Rizan has seen every movie I have, so we could just like, well, you remember that theme that they used in the pre-sequence in Invincible Armor? Oh yeah, that could be really good. And you know, remember in Two Champions of Death, you know, that sound? I go, that would be fantastic. Then what about just like a sound effect? Oh, that's a great idea. And so that's what we did, and you know, it continued on with Volume 2. In the case of Robert Rodriguez, Robert's been doing the scores for his movies now for like at least the last 4 movies, if not longer. He came up to me and goes, "You know what, Quentin? I want to write the score for Volume 2. I'm going to charge you $1. All right, now." You're like me, you come from independent films, you can't turn that down. You know, that's just a bargain. All right, you know,
Another interesting fact, Sonny Chiba was invited to play the role of Hattori Hanzo.
And I've been wanting to work with Sonny since I was a little kid. And Sonny Chiba, one of his coolest things that he did amongst all these great movies is he had a TV show. All right, the Japanese title of the show was Kage no Gunda. And each time they did a new show, he was a different Hattori Hanzo. You know, it'd be like, Hattori Hanzo the first, and then he'd be Hattori Hanzo the second. And so I just continued that philosophy when I wrote my Hattori Hanzo. So he's Hattori Hanzo the 100th in Kill Bill.
You must have big rats. You need a Hattori Hanzo as a stew.
Sonny is a legend of Japanese martial arts films.
That guy up there, it's Sonny Chiba.
The Oriental?
Yeah, the one in black.
Who in real life likes to make katanas and retired from acting after his role in Kill Bill.
28年前、もう二度と作られると神仏に誓ったことを私は破り、そしてやり終えた。
Only 5 months after Thurman gave birth to her son, on the 17th of June 2002, filming finally commenced.
Action!
Some of the movie takes place in China, some of it takes place in Japan. And
there was the Japanese to English translators, the Chinese to English translators, the Japanese to Chinese translators were equally as essential.
And you've seen how difficult it is, but we're gonna get it.
It was kind of madhouse.
你個漢語好差。
When talking about the creation of this film, sooner or later all discussions lead to the House of Blue Leaves.
I sat down to put one of the greatest action scenes in movie history on screen.
Tarantino wanted to create the most epic action scene of all time and was willing to do anything to achieve that vision. In order to completely avoid computer graphics, he insisted that the special effects team use a method from Japanese films, where they load the stuntmen up with condoms full of fake blood. Even the blood was chosen with deadly precision.
I don't want horror movie blood, all right? I want samurai blood.
In the end, more than 1,500 liters of fake blood was spilled. The scene became a trial for the whole film crew and for the actors and the stuntmen. And instead of 2 weeks, the predicted time needed to shoot the scene, it took 2 months.
I've always considered action directors the greatest movie directors in the world. If you can do action well, then you're the greatest. Great job.
Its final version, by the way, was shown in the US and many countries in Europe in black and white, whereas in Japan, for example, it was shown in color. All this because the MPAA wanted to give it a rating of NC-17 instead of the typical R rating.
Well, people have said, well, why did you give the Japanese and the Asian audiences, more in their version than in the Western version? And the answer is, well, they can handle it. You guys can. If you guys can handle it, I give it to you.
One of the most random lines in the film is the comment made by the club manager with regards to Bud's hat.
How many times have I told you? Don't wear that fucking hat here.
Well, I bought that hat in Durango, Mexico. I didn't have a plan for it, but I was wearing it to the read-throughs of Kill Bill. And Quentin comes up to me and he goes, "You're not wearing that hat in the movie." And I go, "Well, I wasn't really planning on it." He goes, "I know, but every time you show up, you got the hat." And I go, "Well, that's because it's my hat. It wasn't a setup, The next day, there I am in the hat, and he says, I can't now picture you without the hat, so you can wear it in the movie. And so I did, but then, later on when we were shooting, he wrote the scene where I have to take the hat off in the strip club. And him and Larry didn't tell me that he was going to say that on camera, that he was going to tell me, "Hey,
that I want you to keep that shit kicker hat at home."
And so when I take that hat off, that was no acting for me because I didn't want to take the goddamn thing off.
Also, in front of the club where Bud works, Butch's Honda Civic is parked, the same one which Jackie Brown drove. But Quentin didn't limit himself to references to his own films.
There's different ways to watch my movies, and different audiences will get different things from it. If you grew up like with this stuff the way I did, then you can watch it and you go, oh wow, I get this and I get this. And it goes beyond pastiche because you're getting like 6 different levels of references in one sequence, thus becoming something new. But that's if you get that stuff. And you're like, come on, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And I'm giving it to you. But if you're not a fan of this stuff and you haven't grown up watching it, all right, then it's all new to you.
You could almost make an analogy that there is almost a hip-hop equivalent, to the ways this is sampled and that sampled and this sampled, but doing it in a cinematic way.
Get that.
Kill Bill became a paradise for Easter egg hunters. A scene worth special mention is the one where Daryl Hannah is depicting the pain of Elle Driver, clearly inspired by the suffering of Pris from Blade Runner, which she had depicted 20 years earlier. Another interesting scene was this one, filmed at a real Mexican brothel. All the extras seen on the screen were real members of this ancient profession.
Esteban was a pimp and a friend of Bill's mother.
I love the idea of him being in both movies. I love the idea of having the same actors play different roles. Just make them, just really give them real good character stuff. All right, and I did that. And it's one of the best scenes in both movies, as far as I'm concerned. I've always thought Michael Parks is one of the greatest actors in the world. I think he's just as good as Dustin Hoffman, or Harvey Keitel, or Robert De Niro, or Al Pacino, or any of those guys.
I am susceptible to flattery.
And if you were wondering why Thurman didn't star in any more of Quentin's films, the answer surfaced only in 2018. On one of the last days of shooting, Uma asked to be replaced with a stunt double during this scene. However, no double was scheduled for that day, and the stunt coordinator had the day off. So Tarantino convinced her to do the scene herself, reassuring her that there was no danger involved. A few minutes later, the actress lost control of the car and crashed it into a tree. She received many injuries, including a concussion and knee injuries. It was this event which corrupted the chemistry between them. They only made peace later in 2018, when Quentin helped the actress get footage of this event, which he attached to the sexual assault charges in the Harvey Weinstein lawsuit. But that's a separate story altogether. Filming took 155 days and finished on the 3rd of March, 2003, 3 months later than the shooting schedule.
Yeah, we're way over schedule, and we're way over our original budget. But it's still the biggest motherfucking bargain in town. We're Miramax's competition to The Matrix. We're Miramax's competition to Die Another Day in Star Wars.
Kill Bill was supposed to be one composition lasting around 3 hours, but Harvey Weinstein suggested that Quentin split it into 2 parts. Tarantino happily agreed.
If I had released it way back when, as one movie, all the grace notes would have been gone. All the things that I think really make it special would have been gone. That anime sequence, gone. Or reduced to just a nod. All right, Pai Mei. Whoop! The Larry Bishop scene, the scene where Bud's boss had to go, all right? And that defines his character. You would not feel half as much about Bud as you do without that scene. But if you've got to tell your story in one go, Esteban Vallejo, Michael Parks, gone, don't need it. I couldn't do that. I mean, that was not what I spent 1.5 years writing. I spent 1.5 years writing this wild opus action thing that had those non sequiturs and those little grace notes and those little character touches. So to make it one movie at a more affordable time, I would have lost everything that I put in there that I thought made it special. So that's why I decided to do what I did.
Kill Bill Volume 1 premiered on the 29th of September 2003, and Volume 2 on the 8th of April the next year. Together, the pictures brought in over $350 million and became Quentin's most successful work to date. Of course, this time, he didn't expect any recognition from the Academy. The film wasn't nominated in a single category at the Oscars, but at least Uma Thurman was nominated for the Golden Globe for both volumes. The second time, she was joined by David Carradine. However, the main success of this duology was the fact that after a series of unfortunate events and failures, Tarantino once again regained confidence in his abilities.
The full-on Quentin movie, the full-on artistic experience of what I'm trying to offer, like distilled to just completely cinematic form.